Hi, it's Scarlett Gini Studio. Today we're going to talk about all the crimes and legal issues in Sleeping Beauty. You see, legal issues come up in the most unexpected places, and hopefully after watching a couple of our videos, you'll learn a thing or two and won't fall into any legal traps in the first place. The very watered-down version of Sleeping Beauty that we come to know of today actually comes from a much darker origin. There was no angry old witch to curse her. Sleeping Beauty was raped in her sleep and gave birth to twins while she was still in a coma. We know this because Talia pricked her finger on the spindle by accident and fell into a death-like sleep. If you have been watching our videos, you will know that in 1634 when this story was written, women were mere properties. Her father thought she was dead and left her in peace. A king found this abandoned property and claimed her as his own, except she's actually a person, rendering this story to have no redeeming moral value whatsoever. Rape is the non-consensual sex using force, violence, duress, threat to violence, or by fraud. This includes sex to an unconscious person, someone incapable of giving legal consent, someone asleep, or someone prevented from resisting. A woman, married or not, had absolute autonomy on her body. A marriage certificate is not a free-for-all pass. You have to obtain consent every single time. It's pretty clear that Sleeping Beauty did not give consent to the sex. We don't care what era you're from. You do not have sex with an unconscious person. Period. Maleficent cursed the princess to die on the prick of a spindle.
Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday.
She's actually in danger of pricking her finger now to the sunset on her 16th birthday, not just on the day of the birthday. So the king is actually not paranoid to worry for 16 years. But what parents don't worry about the safety of their minor children? Toddlers especially are prone to killing themselves. Knowing that the princess can only fall into her deep sleep on the spindle actually makes it simpler. You only need to watch out for spindles. One can even argue that it was a blessing and not a curse. Now let's talk about the curse. A curse in itself is not punishable until the resulting harm has occurred and there's a causal link between the cursor and the harm. In fact, if your curse never materialized, you did no harm at all. Let's say the princess died falling off a cliff. Maleficent would not be guilty of any crime. Even if your witchcraft is so powerful that your curse can kill, a prosecutor would have a hard time gathering evidence to link the harm to you, given that, of course, that you stay away from the crime scene. So we spent the whole movie saying how horrible it was that Sleeping Beauty was to fall into a death-like sleep, and the Red Fairy turned around and damned everyone else to the same fate. If Maleficent was guilty of taking one life, the Red Fairy would be guilty of taking the life of the whole castle town's population. This is like in ancient time when the king died, all his wives, servants, maids, etc. were to die too as human sacrifices. I don't know about you, but I think the Red Fairy is much worse than Maleficent because she's doing a massacre with a smiley face and don't even second guess her crime. Maleficent kidnapped the prince and falsely imprisoned him in the dungeon. The three fairies trespassed to Maleficent's castle and freed the prince. But then, Maleficent turned herself into a dragon, and by doing so, the prince can no longer murder her.
Wait, what?
Murder only applies to the killing of a person. You cannot murder your neighbor's dog because that would be a trespass to chattel. If a bird turns into a human or a fox turns into a prince, and you kill that person, it would be murder. But if you slay a dragon, that's trespass to chattel, and you owe to whoever owned that dragon. So that's it for Sleeping Beauty. Bye!